Okay, good day, how you going? Here's just something fairly typical day for us blokes out here. I've just gone out to a farm and put a load on. Might put my sunglasses on, it's a bit bright out there. Middle of summer, of course. The New Zealanders call this a cattle stop. We call it a cattle grid. And this is actually a public road. It's maintained by the local shire. Other parts in the world would call that probably a county. As you can see, it's a dirt road. It is not an all-weather road. If it rains out here and you get 20 points of rain, you've got a problem, because you're not going to go anywhere. What this road actually does, even though it's a public road, it's maintained by the local shire and is subject to all the rules and regulations of any other public road or highway. And it's owned by the shire. I don't know this particular road, but most of these are owned by the shire. Some are owned by the state. But anyway, the long and the short of it is that it's owned by a government body on behalf of the public. But it actually goes right up the middle or right through privately owned land. On either side of the actual road here, that's private property. And you'll see that there are signs up here. You'll see that sign just coming up. Oh, now I think it is probably on the left there. So that's how you know it's a public road, but it's actually on private property. Don't know if anyone else in the world does this, but Australians do. So obviously, because it's private property, the local landowner or the farmer, whoever it is, the station owner, wants to use that land. So they would be grazing cattle or sheep or what have you. I would suggest they're probably grazing cattle here, based on a sign I saw back there that said black cattle ahead. So they'd be grazing cattle here. Believe it or not, we are in the middle of a drought, but there is some feed out there that's right next to the road. And they'll actually do pretty well on that. And although you can't see it, to you it just probably looks like desert. There is water and whatever else you need for to sustain life. So we came off one property back there on the other side of that cattle grid. And as I said, we now are going through another property on either side of us. And that turn off there on the right hand side would go up to the homestead, what's known as a homestead. And you'll see up here directly when we get around this bend, perhaps, I'm not sure how well that camera can pick up, but right in front there at the moment, in amongst those trees, which you may or may not be able to see, is some buildings. There's some sort of outbuildings. Until I get closer I won't be able to tell you what they are, but they're most likely shearing sheds or machinery sheds or what have you. Here's another cattle grid. They're plenty wide, you could go over them quicker, except that they're mostly as rough as, and it's too hard on your suspension and what have you, so you don't go over them quick. Oh, you can't see in the field of view now because it's parallel to us, but it looks like a shearing shed and a shearing quarters over there, a shearer's quarters. I came along this road earlier on. It's in pretty good nick, actually. There's a skippy that took flying lessons and didn't do very well. So as I said, the road itself is in remarkably good condition. It's not at all corrugated. It's pretty smooth. In fact, it's smoother than most of the bitumen roads that I've been on the last few days. So I'm not going to, but you could probably drive along here right at 60 mile an hour without any, prevarication at all. No problem at all. You'd have plenty of traction. The vehicle wouldn't move all over the shop. You'd raise a lot of dust behind you, as I am at the moment now. Well, I can't turn the camera around to show you, but I am. But since there's no stones in the dirt road, you wouldn't be creating stone chips. You wouldn't be doing any damage to any of the suspension at all, because it's as smooth as I said, it's better than a bitumen road. You just got to watch little places like just there. Oh, well, even that was all right. And every now and then you'll see a little bit of a Humpty-Doo or something that you need to back off for, but essentially, the road's very, 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 very smooth, and you could go at any speed other than you get everything dirty. Given that I'm going to be driving over about 80 mile of dirt before I get back to the bitumen, it's going to be dirty anyway. But I just poke along because there's no need to knock your gear about. But as I said, you could, if you chose, be right on the speed limiter without any hesitation at all on this road. It's really a good road. And as you can see, there's not much to see out here. There's no people, very much. A few jackaroos or something working on properties out here, maybe jillaroos. They would be equivalent in America would be cow hands or something. We call them either jackaroos or jillaroos or station hands. There was a bump there I didn't see. But they're just the hired help, I guess, is the way to put it. And they don't get paid a real lot of money, but they have free accommodation, free food, whatever they need to eat, free electricity, free everything basically to sustain life. They usually, even the fuel for their motor vehicles, they get direct from the station. And whatever money they earn is just theirs to keep and to use as they see fit, but they don't need to spend it on, sustenance or accommodation. That's all provided. So although their money's not huge, if you take into account all the benefits, that they do all right. They'll never be millionaires doing it, but they'll do all right. Right, they'll survive pretty well. And some people want to do that for the rest of their lives, and more power to their arm. Coming up towards another, this used to be a cattle grid here, but they've pulled it down. You'll see here on the right too some sheep yards. I'm just going to back right off of this because this could be rough. No, it's not, but it could have been. And shortly I'll stop recording this, but And then I'll just put it up as is. I won't edit it at all, I don't think. I see a vehicle coming towards us a fair way off, so that I'll keep recording till it goes past. But as I said, it's yeah, this is Australia. This is a real Australia. The bulk of our population lives in a handful of cities right on the coast and are highly urbanised. But you can go to any country in the world and see that sort of thing, highly urbanised. There goes that car now. That's an itty-bitty four-wheel drive. Anyway, you know, you can go to any country in the world and see a lot of people living in each other's pockets. You can't necessarily go to any country in the world and see what this country has to offer when you get away from all of that BS. I don't like the city at all. I don't need to have nightlife because the good Lord provides me all the entertainment that I could possibly want out here. You know, with the critters and whatever else that's out here. When there's no people out here, there's no thieves, there's no muggers, there's no anything. And I kind of prefer that, I've got to tell you. I don't think I'll ever live in the city again until I don't have any choice. I.e., you know, due to ill health or something, I've got to be near a hospital. But right now, I am quite content to live and work, or live out in this country and work most of the time outside of the metro areas because, you know, they appall me, to be perfectly honest. Some people love them. I've got a lot of friends around the place that, you know, absolutely love the city, wouldn't live anywhere else, and more power to their arm, good luck to them. But not in my wildest fancy would I ever want to do that ever again. Have done it in the past and never again. I come from the bush originally. I went and lived near the city for a while and it drove me spare, and now I'm back in the bush again. I don't ever want to leave here again. Here's another one of these little cattle grids. As I said, they're relatively narrow, but they're not too narrow. But because they're rough, you back right off. But you'll see when I go onto it, there's not a lot of room, but there's a bit of room on either side. But there's a couple of big holes, one on either side. There you go, just hit them. Which means that you've got to back right off for them. A lot of the country is unfenced. Just here where we are, there's a fence line on both sides. The one on the right is probably 20 yards back, and the one on the left is probably 100 yards back. But most of the country is unfenced. So the livestock and the critters all travel about as they choose, which means when you drive out here, particularly over night time, you need to be a little cautious because you really don't want to come into connection with contact with a horse or a cow or kangaroo or anything else if you can avoid it. Sometimes it means that you've got to fill out some paperwork, and I hate paperwork, and sometimes it might necessitate repairs or what have you. And if you do something truly stupid, you might end up, instead of killing the critter, you might end up killing yourself. So, you know, due caution is recommended if you're travelling out in this country after dark. I mean, you take caution during the daytime as well, but even more so over night time. All right, nothing much else to show you here. You're probably bored already, but this is the Australia that I love. And people say, oh, well, but there's nothing to see. Well, actually there is. Open your eyes. You'll see some gum trees over there on the right hand side. There's a little wallaby underneath one of them there, resting in the shade. A little roo, actually, just a joey. Which if I'd have been quick enough to see it, I would have tried to point it out to you. And I'm not going to have time to edit this and put a marker on it to show you, but believe you me, there was a shrub on the right hand side, and there was a little a young joey that was camped under there out of the heat. It's actually quite warm outside. It's I don't know what the temperature is, but it's probably about 35 degrees or something like that, probably in the 90s Fahrenheit. And it's pretty dry. There's not a lot of humidity out there today because I've been out in it. It's beautiful in here. I've got the air conditioning running, and it's great. I might just continue this clip a little way because I'm going to come up to an intersection where I'll turn left. Oh, no, it's not worth your trouble because you're only going to see more of what you're seeing now. So I'll say cheers for now, and I'll probably not edit this one iota, and I'll just put it up on YouTube or somewhere, and you all can have a look at it if you like, and if you don't, doesn't matter. Cheers for now. Now all I've got to do is switch over to another microphone and tell the thing to stop recording.